How's it going? Database says no data here. Welcome back to another episode of Roblox Assassin, and we are doing yet another top 10, ladies and gentlemen. I gave you guys a bit of deathmatch gameplay right here. As you can see, I am playing deathmatch mode, and I play deathmatch mode despite how dead it is. Nobody plays deathmatch mode anymore, but I decided to play it just because honestly that game mode is kind of better for videos like these post-commentative videos, because there's a bunch of action going on, and in classic servers I can die and have to wait in the lobby, and it's kind of awkward. But in deathmatch mode there's always a bunch of stuff going on, because if I die I respawn, and there's always a bunch of stuff going on, so that is pretty cool. But anyway guys, we're doing yet another top 10 assassin video. This is the top 10 hardest knives to craft, guys, because crafting knives in Roblox Assassin, it is pretty tricky. This game has some really complex crafting recipes. I'm sorry, but Murder Mystery 2 doesn't even compare. It has that little salvage mechanic, so it's kind of difficult to learn, you know what I'm saying? Because Murder Mystery 2, you have to literally disassemble a knife, and then you get parts for it, and then you put those parts together, you get stuff out of it, so it's a little bit more complicated to learn. Whereas Assassin, you just put knives together and you get another knife. But still, Roblox Assassin has really complicated crafting recipes. You need so many different knives to create certain things. So in this video, I'm going to be counting down the top 10 hardest crafting recipes. Before we begin this list, I just want to bring up a few things. First of all, this is my opinion. Alright, this is an opinion-based list. So if you have a different opinion, then that is perfectly fine. If you do have a different opinion, be sure to comment that down in the comments, because I want to know what you guys think. What knife is the hardest to craft for you? Leave that down in the comments. And for this list, it could be pretty much anything. It could be 4 comments for a rare. That's really easy. That's probably not going to be on this list, but it could be anything. It could be a particular knife to craft and stuff like that. It could be legendary, an exotic, a mythic, even a dream. It could be whatever. If you guys are excited for this countdown, then be sure to drop a like on this video. It really helps out, guys. So without further ado, we are going to get into it. So at number 10, we have Ice Ancient, guys. This is a mythic. It was made in January 2017, so it is pretty old, but it is still a very difficult crafting recipe. So if you are unaware, the crafting recipe for Ice Ancient is 3 Ice Lords, which is it's an exotic that's very high in demand, Ice Lord. So you need 3 of those, and then you need Frigid, which is a legendary, Chill, which is a rare, and then Ice, which is a common. So you need 3 exotics, a legendary, a rare, and a common. And that exotic Ice Lord, again, it is very hard to get, because once Ice Ancient came out, Ice Lord has always been very high in demand. It has never changed. It has been like a year and a half since Ice Ancient came out, and the demand never decreased. People always want Ice Lord to craft that Ice Ancient. Why? Because Ice Ancient is the easiest mythic in the game to craft. It's an easy mythic to get. It's really not that bad. So people try to collect those Ice Lords to have enough, and then get the Frigid and the Chill and the Ice, and hopefully craft their first mythic, or just an easy mythic to craft. And Ice Ancient is also really good for crafting dreams, which I'm going to get into a little later in the list. So yeah, people are always trying to get Ice Ancient because of that reason, and people always want to get the Ice Lord, so it is pretty difficult to craft. At number 9, we have Steampunk. So this is a brand new knife. This came out a little over a month ago, and it is still pretty high in demand, and the crafting recipe for it is pretty tricky. It's not too bad in the long run. It's not too bad, but it is pretty tricky, especially considering it is really high in demand. People want those crafting ingredients. People want the knives that you need to craft this exotic. And it is harder to craft than Ice Ancient, so honestly, I really think Steampunk should have just been a mythic. But whatever, that's a rant for another day. So to craft Steampunk, first of all, you need 3 Protons. And Proton is an exotic. It used to be the worst exotic, but now again it is pretty high demand because people want this. So you need to get 3 Protons, which is pretty insane. And you also need 2 Strikers. And Striker, if you don't know, that is something that you also need to craft. So to craft 1 Striker, you need a Gilded, which is an exotic, a Volt, which is a legendary, and a Lightning, which is another legendary. So really, when you think about it, to craft a Steampunk, you need 2 Gildeds, 2 volts, 2 lightnings, and 3 protons, which is a lot of exotics, first of all. It is a lot of exotics to craft, and even though those knives, you know, Gilded and Proton, they used to be very, very bad back in the day. You know, it's a lot better now because of this Steampunk knife. You know, what Steampunk really did was it made those horrible knives really, really good. You know, again, both Gilded and Proton, they used to be like the worst exotics in the game, but now they're both pretty good because they're high in demand. You need these to craft Steampunk. So yeah, 5 to 7 exotics in total to craft this exotic. It is a pretty difficult crafting recipe. At number 8, we have Dark Horse. This is a mythic, and it was added in the February update. And in order to craft the Dark Horse, first of all, you need 2 Dark Blades, which is an exotic. Dark Blade in particular is very, very high in demand. As a matter of fact, I'd say it is probably the highest tier 1 exotic in demand. If you don't know what a tier 1 exotic is, it is basically all of the knives that you can unbox or craft with 6 legendaries. And I'd say that Dark Blade is the highest out of them all. So you need 2 Dark Blades, which is an exotic. You need 2 Doombringers, which is another exotic. Not quite as hard to get, but it is still an exotic nonetheless. And you need Unicorn, which is yet another exotic. And Unicorn is a knife that you also have to craft. And to craft that, you need Dark Blade, which again, an exotic. And you need Rainbow. And Rainbow is also a knife that you need to craft with 7 commons: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and pink. So like we did with Steampunk, if you just break down the crafting recipe, what you really need is 3 Dark Blades, 2 Doombringers, a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue, a pink, and a purple. Pretty difficult, guys. Those are a lot of exotics that are really, really high in demand to get a mythic, and you know, it's a dark version of the unicorn, so it does look pretty cool. So I'd say it is worth it, but it is still very, very difficult. At number 7, we have Freezendo. This is once again one of the mythics from the February update, and you know, it's a mythic. It is pretty good. It's like a cold version of Crescendo. And to craft this thing, first of all, you need Ice Ancient, which was number 10 on the list. So you need Ice Ancient, which we already went over. So you need that. You need a Crescendo, which is an exotic. And you need 2 Frost Dragons, which are also exotics. Now, Crescendo and Frost Dragon are a bit lower in demand, so they're not that hard to get. But when you add it all up, this is a really difficult crafting recipe. Again, if we break it down, what we need is 3 Ice Lords, a Crescendo, 2 Frost Dragons, a Frigid, a Chill, and an Ice. And that is so many knives put together to craft this Freezendo. But it is a very good knife. It is a mythic. It is worth 7 exotics. Really, really valuable knife, but very, very difficult to craft. And it gets harder from here, ladies and gentlemen. At number 6, we have the Rainbowseer. This is yet another mythic from the February update. I believe it is the last one on this list for the February update from 2017. But this is definitely the hardest knife to craft out of that update. In order to craft a Rainbowseer, first of all, you need 3 unicorns, which, you know, we already went over the crafting recipe for unicorn already. And you need 6 Overseers. And Overseer is obviously an exotic. It is a bit lower in demand, but you need so many Overseers that it is insane. So again, breaking down this crafting recipe, you need 3 Dark Blades, 3 Reds, 3 Oranges, 3 Yellows, 3 Greens, 3 Blues, 3 Pinks, 3 Purples, and 6 Overseers. Really, really difficult to do. But let's be real, the Rainbowseer looks freaking amazing. I mean, just look at it. Look at it. It's awesome. And here they come, ladies and gentlemen. You've been waiting for them, and here they are, the Elementals. At number 5, we have the Earth Elemental. This is one of the 4 Elementals that came out in May 2017. And they're like the last of the mythics we've ever seen, now counting Champion Blade. Hopefully we get more mythics soon. But yeah, to craft an Earth Elemental, you need a Wind Elemental, which is a mythic, which I will go over in a little bit. And you need Earthen Blade, which is an exotic. So first, let's talk about the Earthen Blade, alright? It is not that high in demand, but it is harder to get Earthen Blade than your average everyday exotic. The reason for that is the only way to get an Earthen Blade is to craft with 6 legendaries. You cannot unbox Earthen Blade by any means. You have to take 6 legendaries and craft it into an exotic, and hopefully by sheer luck, you will get an Earthen Blade. So that makes it difficult. You can't just open an elite case and hope to get an Earthen Blade. You have to go out of your way to get 6 individual legendaries, and then maybe, just maybe, you will craft an Earthen Blade. And if you don't get an Earthen Blade, then you're out of luck. You need to either, you gotta disassemble your exotic and get an elite case and get more legendaries, or trade them off for like 4 legendaries, or just collect more legendaries to get another shot at the Earthen Blade and, you know, hope for the best. But again, Earthen Blade is relatively low in demand, so you probably can just trade off the exotic you get for an Earthen Blade that somebody else has, and that could probably be the end of it. But the Wind Elemental, whew, that is something else, ladies and gentlemen. That is really, really hard to get. So if you do not know, Wind Elemental is in the Elite case, alright? The Elite case is 3,000 tokens, which is a lot. 3,000 tokens, and if you open an Elite case, you have a 1.5% chance of opening or getting a Wind Elemental from the Elite case, and that is super low chances. You're gonna have to open Elite cases over and over and over and over again in hopes of getting a Wind Elemental, and again, just getting one Elite case is very, very expensive. It is 3,000 tokens, and that is a lot of playtime. And that is like 3 exotics. One Elite case is like 3 exotics, because if you disassemble it, you know, that's 3 exotics worth. So you open that and you have like a 1.5% chance of just getting a Mythic, actually. And there's also Spider in the Elite case. So if you break it down, you really have a 0.75% chance of getting a Wind Elemental, which is really, really low odds. But you put that and Earthen Blade together, and you will get a nice Earth Elemental. But now we're going to step it up even harder. At number 4 is Water Elemental. Again, this is another one of the 4 elementals. And in order to get a Water Elemental, you need first a Wind Elemental, you know, the Wind Elemental, and you need an Earth Elemental. So to break that down for you, that is 2 Wind Elementals, 2 Wind Elementals, and an Earthen Blade. Again, Earthen Blade, not that hard to get, whatever. But 2 Wind Elementals. Again, you have super, super low odds to just get one of them, and you need 2 of them to get the Water Elemental. That is insane, guys. If you are not trading to get the Wind Elemental, you will need insane luck to craft the Water Elemental. And if you are trading, it is still pretty hard to find them, because, you know, you need Wind Elemental to craft all the other elementals. So there's really not a lot of them around, and Wind Elementals are really, really high in demand because they look nice and they're really hard to find. So you're gonna have to trade a lot to get one if you can't unbox one, like me. Like I've never unboxed a Wind Elemental before. At number 3, we have actually 3 different knives, but in the number 3 slot, we have Frostbite, Neon Ancient, and Magma. These are Dream knives from the Dream update, which I believe was sometime in July, I want to say. Sometime in July or August of 2017. And all 3 of these are in the same spot because you craft them the exact same way. Now, in order to craft one of these Dream knives, you need 3 Mythics, guys. 3 of any Mythic. You can be any Mythic you want. If you want 3 Ice Ancients, you can do that. If you a Spider and a Dark Horse and a Freezendo, you can do that. If you want to craft away 2 Fire Elementals and a Champion Blade, you can do that. But if you ever get a Champion Blade, don't do that. If you do get that, I think you would know, but just don't do it. It's really bad. But yeah, 3 of any Mythic. It could be any 3 Mythics you want, and you will get one of these knives at random. And if you couldn't tell from the list already, getting Mythics is not easy. It involves really insane crafting recipes or really good luck in the Elite case, stuff like that. So even if you went the cheapest approach and you use 3 Ice Ancients to craft a Dream, that is still 9 Ice Lords, 3 Frigids, 3 Chills, and 3 Ices, which is a lot. Now that really leaves us with only 2 knives left. You probably know what's coming up, but which order is it going to be? It's probably going to surprise you, but I will explain my reasoning once we reach number 1 on the list. But before we talk about the last 2, guys, if you made it this far in the video, comment down below Neon. At number 2, we have Dreamwalker, guys. This is yet another dream knife from the Dream update, and in order to do this, you have to craft Frostbite, Neon Ancient, and Magma together. And once you put them all together, you will craft a Dreamwalker. You need 3 mythics just to craft one of them. You know, Frostbite, Neon Ancient, and Magma. You need 3 mythics just to get one of them. And you need to get all 3 of those dreams, which would be 9 mythics the minimum. You know, assuming you get all 3 of them the first try, or I guess you could trade, but if you're not trading, you would need a minimum of 9 mythics to craft this Dreamwalker. 9 mythics, guys. That is so much. That is really, really insane. And once you put them all together, you get this nice, awesome purple sword with a nice effect. I love it so much. It looks amazing. And finally, guys, at number 1, we have the Fire Elemental. This is a mythic, and this is from the Elemental update. So again, I will explain my reasoning, but first let me just talk about the crafting recipe for the Fire Elemental. To get this, you need to craft Water Elemental and Wind Elemental together, which are both mythics. And like all the other traits, I'm going to break it down. In order to craft a Fire Elemental, you need 3 Wind Elementals, 3 of them, and you need an Earthen Blade. And you know, at this point, the Earthen Blade is pretty negligible, but you know, 3 Wind Elementals is insane. That is so much luck, and that is really expensive. Again, Wind Elemental really high in demand, so if you're trading for these, that is a lot of value. And if you're unboxing, that is so much luck. 3 Wind Elementals. Like, what are the odds of unboxing those? Now, I know a lot of people are going to think that Dreamwalker is harder to craft because you need a lot more mythics. It's like, oh, you need 9 mythics to craft the Dreamwalker, and you only need 3 mythics to craft the Fire Elemental. So why do you think Fire Elemental is harder? Well, the thing about Dreamwalker is Dreamwalker has a lot more freedom to it, if you know what I'm saying. Because the thing is, you can use any 3 mythics to craft a dream. So, you know, you really have a lot more freedom. You can use any mythic you want, and yeah. And naturally, you're gonna want to go with the cheapest mythics when it comes to crafting dreams. So naturally, you're gonna want to go for the Ice Ancients. And frankly, I'd rather get 9 Ice Ancients than get 3 Wind Elementals. Because Wind Elementals are really hard to unbox, and you know, exotics you are much more likely to unbox. And again, yeah, Ice Lord is pretty high in demand, and the chances of getting just the Ice Lord are pretty slim. But you have pretty good odds in the elite case, at least. You have pretty good odds of getting an exotic, and you can eventually trade that for an Ice Lord and just keep going from there. I find it a lot easier to rack up on those Ice Lords and, you know, those fridges and those chills and those ices than to unbox or even trade for those Wind Elementals. But hey, Dreamwalker kind of has that choose your difficulty thing. I mean, if you use 9 Fire Elementals to craft a Dreamwalker, which you can do that, you can get 9 Fire Elementals to craft a Dreamwalker, then yeah, obviously it's going to be a lot harder to craft a Dreamwalker by a lot. But again, if you're just smart about it and you know your values and you know what you're doing, it is, in my opinion at least, generally easier to craft a Dreamwalker than it is to craft the Fire Elemental, you know? But anyway, guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10. If you disagreed with me, then be sure to type down your opinions in the comments, and I'll try my best to read and reply to all of them. So, yeah, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all those other things that YouTube people do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles!